Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. We're live from the Dr. Phillips Center. I'm Alice with the Dr. Phillips Center, and this is
Charles Ross, the one-man Star Wars trilogy.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's your whole name then?
Yeah.
Charles Ross,
legally
the one-man Star.
Yeah.
It is legally. Congratulations.
The cops come up to the house and like, "Hey, Charles Ross, one-man Star Wars trilogy."
Excellent. So Charles is going to be here October 13th. That's tonight through the 18th.
Yeah, Sunday.
You're here for the week?
Yep.
Awesome. Shows every night, 7:30 p.m.
I think it's 7:30, but then on the weekend there's an 8 and a 10 o'clock, or a big part is 7 and a 10 o'clock. I think is
7
what it
and
is.
10 o'clock.
And then I think it's maybe 3 o'clock on Sunday.
Nice. A little matinee?
Yeah,
A little
yeah.
afternoon matinee?
Yeah, but it's weird because John Cleese and Eric Idle are going to be here on the 16th to the 17th, I think.
How much inspiration have you had
God.
from them?
Well,
How incredible is that to
when
be
I-
in the same building?
It's actually kind of hard. It's hard because when John Cleese came to my town, where I live in Canada, he was scheduled to do 9 shows, and in the end, I think he did 21.
Oh my gosh.
They just kept extending it because there was so much of a demand.
Yeah.
So I still didn't get a chance to see him.
Wow.
But when I was a kid, I remember my mom introduced me to Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Yeah, of course.
So-
Your mom introduced you to Monty Python's
well,
Flying
yeah, she didn't say like here they are right there, but she did actually have it on video to show it to me,
Yeah.
and yeah, that changed my life
Yeah.
because he was these intelligent adults, so to speak, who were doing just the wackiest, craziest stuff, and that to me, it's in some ways kind of planted the seed for what I do now,
Yeah.
because you can actually have a job that's not really a job. It's more like a fun pastime. And in this case, they would reference anything they wanted from history or whatever, but I'm just using Star Wars. And my knowledge of Star Wars, if you could call it that, it started when I was a kid. I watched the first film a whole bunch of times and trying to figure out what to do with that knowledge. I couldn't think of anything when I was a kid, but later, when I studied theater
Yeah.
and started working in theater and doing the film and TV, I just hated the whole process of going to look for work from
The
people all the time.
auditioning. Oh, it's tough.
It really is, and kind of disheartening. I got really good at being able to take rejection, and that wasn't what I really signed up for. So I actually tried a bunch of different kicks at the can of doing my own material.
Yeah.
And the adaptation of Star Wars, the original whole trilogy, was an idea that I guess you could kind of say originated when I was doing the Fringe.
And it was this Fringe, the Orlando Fringe?
It
One of
wasn't.
the Fringes.
It was in Minneapolis in 1994.
Oh, wow,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. That's sort of when the idea kind of first had an inkling of a maybe an idea.
So did you test it out in front of the audiences?
I-
Did you do a lot of writing for yourself, or would you write and then go test it out, see what worked, come back, refine?
No, it was almost like improv. Well, I did actually write out a treatment of a script, and then sort of use that as my my guide. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
The thing was, I could only remember so much, even though I could remember huge swaths of material. I tried to imagine telling the story in an extremely abbreviated version, but not using any exposition.
Right.
Just using bits from the films to tell the story. And that's what I did on stage. But because when I looked out into the crowd, this was sort of a more like a comedy club sort of setting. Not strictly a comedy club, but really a mixed group of people. And no one looked to be kind of nerdy. Well, nerds can
Yeah.
hide though in totally cool fashion, which I thought was kind of
Yeah.
neat. I did underestimate the power of nerddom to sort of to always be there, but trying to sort of find out what does the audience know, what do they not know, and
Right.
if I tried to sort of insert little jokes, were they going to get them?
Right.
And they really got them. So I started to do a little bit more. So the show itself was originally intended to be kind of this long form weird impression, almost like. I don't know, you could say it was like weird performance art, but that was never intended to be performance art. But then turned out to be me kind of celebrating the love of Star Wars
Yeah, nice.
with, everyone from the super fan to the light fan of Star Wars. And it's been
So they can find their connection point no matter what.
kind of, yeah, and that we all belong in that same room. Some more so than
Yeah.
others because they know Star Wars exceptionally well.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's sort of the spirit of Star Wars, the spirit of family entertainment, actually, because everybody has a reason to be there. And over the 14 years I've been doing it, I mean, the show's changed in such a way that it does include everyone. It is for everyone.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, how exciting. So we've got a week run. It's storytelling. It's part storytelling. It's part impressions. It's sharing the characters.
It's all impression. All
Wonderful.
impression. No costume, no set, no props.
What's your favorite character to play?
Probably the Emperor, just because he's a rotten bastard.
Yeah.
No, he's the kind of guy that, he would come over to the house and he'd, kick the dog and drink all your wine and leave and laugh, and at least you know what you're getting, from that guy, which is rottenness.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm very happy that you're here. We're
Me
very
too.
happy that you're here. We're
What
excited about the
incredible
run.
theater, though, too.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
We're excited to have you here.
And you guys have only been open since November.
Yes, it's almost a year.
That is
Counting down
insane.
on a year.
Yeah, well, I've had a bad habit of being sometimes the last show in theaters before they close. No, but I mean, these were two theaters that were actually in jeopardy before I ever did the show. I didn't actually sync them or anything like that, but they were like booking houses, right? So, but they weren't going to
Well,
last.
I don't
anyway.
think that's going to happen with the Alexis and Jim Pugh Theater.
I don't think
I don't know
so.
how many shows have we had here in the Alexis and Jim Pugh Theater. It's been a really exciting mix because we have a lot of local artists that are doing shows. You saw the theater.
Sure did, yeah.
Beautiful,
No kidding.
just a little under 300 seats.
Yeah.
Really multi-form. So we've had a lot of local acts, but then a lot of this kind of, we had Potter Potter last year. So this is very similar to the Potter Potter. You know the Potter Potter guys?
Yeah, of course I know them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, similar in the sense that we're both referencing large franchise, stories. But I think that the way that they tell theirs is very different from mine. Not very, very different, but different enough that like I'm doing the show, the films, from the opening shot to the last shot of the last film, and I'm making huge editorial jumps, but I am just doing the films. It's been the way it's put together on the stage is me. It's actually been framed, naturally framed to be what it is in the films, and no costumes, no sets, no props, and I do. Talk to the audience at times, but for the most part, I'm just driving on with the story because people know the story.
Yeah.
It's sort of like being a bard, without being a bard, but you're
A modern-day bard.
a modern day bard or something, but retelling the story, being the characters, singing the music, making the sound effects. People fill in the blanks because what's not there is obvious. It's just me on stage, but they do fill in the blanks because our minds have the ability to do that.
So their full imaginative participation in it as an audience.
Yeah,
Exciting.
yeah.
How did the Star Wars people respond to this work?
Well, originally they were sort of like, what are you doing?
What?
Yeah, and when I sent them all my materials, they were rather intrigued. And eventually I said, I'd love to come audition for you guys so you can see what it's all about. And we had a couple opportunities to do it. One
You
was
did it for their conventions.
well,
too.
yes,
Some
yes,
pieces.
yeah. And I've actually originally though it was at San Diego Comic-Con, and I went down and I hosted the Fan Film Awards. These are films that are based on Star Wars-ish stuff, but made by just people.
Yeah.
And they gave out awards because some of them are so good. So anyway, this award ceremony at Comic-Con, I hosted it. No one had any idea who I was. And then at the end, they said, well, after you're done, just sort of give a little quick introduction of who you are and break out into the show. And I did just the first third of the show. Anyway, it went so very well. But there was, 4,000 people there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was crazy to do that. And all the Lucasfilm people were sitting in the front row. So it was sort of a command performance.
It was your live audition.
Oh, it was a live
That's
audition.
Exciting.
Yeah. And I didn't die, which was good. Yeah, and then after that, I've gone and done, conventions of theirs, and I've had a license with Lucasfilm, which is great because having that sort of stamp of approval means that they understand where I'm coming from, and that this in no way harms. This is celebrating
it's
Star
an appreciation
Wars.
of
Absolutely.
their work.
Yeah.
Exciting.
So and it's nice to be able to work with them, for them, in a sense,
Nice. Well, it's a great celebration of storytelling. It's a great celebration of your acting skills and of character, and it's a great celebration of Star Wars because we're getting ready for the next
series
film.
of films. I
It's
know.
very exciting. So it's perfect timing that you're here.
It is, and it's crazy because When I come back to this now, I have a daughter. She's 18 months old, and she sort of puts her around the age I was when the original first film came out. I was a bit too young to be able to really grasp what was happening. And still, after about 2 years since the film had come out, it was still popular. So I was able to sort of still love it as though it was brand new.
Right.
So I wonder if she'll love the new Star Wars films the way that I love them. I hope she doesn't do a one-woman Star Wars show when she gets older, but
You never know.
you never know. No.
Well, there's many more movies that she could do the prequels.
She could do Twilight. She could do
Yeah,
just
she could.
Cinderella stories or something like
Excellent.
that. I don't know. It's all kinds of things.
All right. Well, bring the whole family. Come on down this week. It's going to be a great week.